Hey friends, welcome back to a new Python tutorial. And today I'd like to show you how you can create your own translation app in Python with an interface in, let's say, less than, 10 lines of code. So let's get into that. For that, we need two important libraries, which are Gradio here and Transformers. Now, Gradio is a Python application or library which allows you to create interfaces, like for web apps, for instance. And Transformers is the second library which we're going to use because this library contains a lot of deep learning models, which are pre-trained, which we can use using the pipeline object here. And one of those objects or pipelines which exist there is the translation pipeline, which means we can translate text from, for instance, English to German. This is something I'm going to show here, but also for English to French and all other kinds of languages. So let's do that. At first, as I said, you need to install those two libraries, so Gradio and Transformers, because both of them are not by default installed, so you need to install them first. Secondly, we need to download this pipeline, this one here, and you simply give it here as a text string what kind of pipeline or translation pipeline you want. So if I say this is my translation PL, so for translation pipeline is equal to, and then I can instantiate it like pipeline, and then I need to specify here what kind of pipeline, and this is where I can specify here translation underscore en underscore to underscore de, which means English to German. Now, if you use French, it would be, for instance, English to French. And for the other ones, you should just check out the Transformers library. So I stick to DE here. So after I run it, just a second, and then we are good to go. One thing please to keep in mind here is the following. The first time you instantiate the pipeline, you have to download the model. Because, as I said, the Transformers library is using deep learning models which are pre-trained. And the training process, of course, takes a long time and a lot of resources. And that's the great thing, so we can use what other people have done for us and leverage that. However, we need to download this model. Now, in my case, the first time I instantiated the pipeline and downloaded this model, I downloaded roughly about 900 megabyte from the internet. So please keep this in mind when you download the translations, especially if, for instance, you try this on your smartphone or anything like that, because, as I said, it takes a little bit of time, depending on your internet connection, and around 900 megabyte, at least for the English to German. Maybe other ones, like to French and other languages, are bigger or a little bit smaller. I don't know. You have to check that out. But now we have the translation pipeline. And now I can actually use this pipeline simply by calling it. I can say translation, and then I need to give it some English text here. For instance, today is a great day, like that. And if I run this, of course I need to call it with my pipeline, translation PL. And if I run this, I just get here my output, which is a list. And this list contains a dictionary, having a key called translation text and a value, heute ist ein großer Tag, which is simply the German translation for that. And it's a pretty good translation. So if I want the text, the output itself, of course I need to be a little bit more specific. So I can, let's actually copy this line here and then say from the list which gets returned, I want to have the first element, so index 0. And then for the key in the dictionary, I'd like to have the translation text, translation underscore text. And if I run this, then I get exactly the text, which is the translation here. And this is what I want, actually, right? So to now create our great web app, what do we need to do? Well, at first, Gradio here needs a function. So we need to define a function here and can say my function def. And then this function is called, for instance, translate. And I need to give it some kind of input, which it will be some kind of text. In this case, it will be an English text, which will be converted or translated to German. So here, next, I can actually translate the data. So I can say my result, is equal to, and then I can say I'm using the translation PL, which we already tested above, and say here I want to do this on the text which is given in a translation function or in translate function. And then I need to return something. And of course, I don't want to return the list. I want to return the actual value. So that is why I will say here, I want to please return the result. And from the result, the first element in the list. And from this list, or the dictionary now, I want to get the translation text. Translation underscore text. So this is exactly the same as we have here, right? Just to get only the specific translation text. And this gets returned by the function. So we can execute this. And now let's actually create our app. So let's say my app is equal to, and now I can call Gradio as gr, because this is the translation we used up here. And now I say dot interface. And this interface function needs now 3 actually arguments, which are compulsory here. The first one is the function. So the fn is equal to translate. That's why we defined it. So translate function will be used. And then we need to specify the inputs and the outputs. Now inputs will be text because it will be a text box, which we want to show in our app. And the same is true for the outputs. So outputs is equal to, and this will also be text. Like that. And we can run this and just see, okay, we are good to go. And the final thing is that we start the app now. So everything is prepared, and now we can run our app. So simply by calling app and then dot launch. And because we are currently in the development process, I simply specify debug is equal to true. True, like that. And let's execute this. And just a second, and we see we get our app. It is running on this specific host, so we can click on this to go to the website, or actually to the URL, or we can also check it directly here in Jupyter. So we get the app here. This is the interface which we have created. We said we wanted to have text as an input and also a text as an output. And we can simply write in text here. I can say, thanks for watching this video, like that. And then we can either clear if you want to remove the text, or you can call submit here. And if you click on the submit button, you see it takes a little bit of time, but then it translates the text, and this is the German one, and this is pretty good. Just says, thanks a lot for watching this video. So this is how this works. And you can also click on screenshot just to make a screenshot and save this then on your download folder or desktop or whatever you want. And the same is true if I click on this running ad locally. So if you're not in Jupyter Notebook, you might not see this, but don't worry, because you can also, of course, click on the URL, which gets opened, and you see here exactly the same things. So you can enter text in here. So please consider subscribing if you want to see more, like that. So I can zoom in, but this is what you get here. And then I click on submit, and just a second, and then here, this is actually then the German translation for that, or the French translation, or whatever kind of language you choose to use. If I click on clear, then of course everything gets removed, and I can enter the next text. And this is running now locally. And as long as, of course, you do not close the Python file or here interrupt the Jupyter kernel. And that's it, actually. So not a lot of code, as we said here. We only need to import the specific libraries. Then this was just for understanding purposes to go through that. But you actually only need to define the function, this small function here. And then you need to actually create the app, and then you launch the app. And that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and as always, I like to encourage you, if you're interested, then please try this out yourself. Just keep in mind that you need to download the model first. As I said, around 900 megabyte was it for me for the English to German So around this you should expect. But then you can try this out, and that's it. So thanks a lot for watching. As I said, if you enjoyed this video, then please give the video a thumbs up. And also please subscribe to the channel, or consider subscribing if you want to see more about Python, data science, about Power BI, or also other kind of tools like, for instance, Tableau, and also have some other kind of skills which I gladly like to share with you if you're interested. So please take care and hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.